you go to Yelp and you actually see an onboarding flow that gets you directly to a home services look and feel, not a generic one size fits all approach. And that was kind of eye opening. The results were really eye opening. When we ran this experiment, we saw significant lift both in the right usage for homeowners versus restaurant goers, and also to some degree, like the LTV and revenue that Yelp was seeing went up as a result of personalizing that experience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dennis Mink. I'm with Bidease, and I am today's host of Just One Thing, a podcast where we sit down with great growth marketers who have been doing very interesting things in the world of mobile growth marketing and growth in general, and where we focus on having a conversation around just one thing. Today, I have with me Eyal Grundstein. Eyal, thanks for joining me.
Hi, Dennis. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. It's been a while. Eyal, you have a very interesting professional work history. You've had roles at, some of like the most well-known companies in the world, from Yelp and GSN, the game show network that I worked with years ago in like the 2000s, back when I had my digital marketing agency in Los Angeles, like really back when it was actually like a game show network. Like, and that's
Yeah.
what things was, right? So maybe why don't you kind of like tell us a little bit about you?
Thanks for having me on, Dennis. Yeah, I'm Eyal Grundstein. Really passionate about growth marketing and helping companies scale and helping customers scale. Note that the views on this podcast and the opinions I share here are entirely my own and not representing past, previous, or current employers or clients. But I'm really happy to share my experiences and go deeper into uh, stories from the trenches.
Great. Yeah. Sounds good. Sounds good. And
Yeah, a little bit of history, right? I've been in the growth marketing space for about 15 years, seeing it really evolve from kind of the Wild West into the data-driven discipline that it is, right? Starting on mobile gaming and then consumer apps, companies like Yelp. The last 6 years have been in big tech on the ad side, having been a client of advertising throughout my career. Interesting to see kind of the other side and really helping advertisers scale on the platforms. 5+ years have been at Meta, focused on helping small and medium advertisers scale on the platform through growth marketing. So it's really like doing growth marketing to advertisers and to growth marketers. It's really fascinating, both working at the scale of the business, right, in terms of millions of advertisers, hundreds of millions of businesses, but also working on nuance problems and challenges and opportunities that these advertisers have. So definitely learned a lot. Very excited. See the evolution and also how advertising is constantly evolving.
well, let's get into it. So I know that, we've had some conversations, and I know you want to talk about specifically something that you've been passionate about throughout your career and has been sort of a constant for you. And that was the whole topic of personalization.
Yeah, it's really an interesting topic, right, that I've seen kind of develop and evolve. I think my first foray into deeper personalization was when I joined Yelp, right? I was brought on to help scale their paid performance marketing. Yelp is a well-known brand. They got a lot of growth through word of mouth, organic channels, SEO, and they really wanted to scale performance marketing. Here's just something that's really fascinating about Yelp, right? It's this one app that serves completely different needs. You've got someone looking for the best pizza parlor in their area. You have someone looking for the good yoga studio, and then you have a homeowner that has a leak on their roof and needs desperately to get a quote, right? Or a young professional that's making a move and needs movers ASAP. So, what I realized in kind of scaling performance marketing, testing different channels, is these aren't just different searches within the app, right? These are different people with different mindsets and different intent. And we think of how we should apply that not only to the product itself, but within marketing. So, as we're testing new channel, me and my team really found that we had like core hero ads that were working, pizza, a burger, these things that really like attract eyeballs. But what if we went deeper, right? What if we actually had an ad that's targeted to a homeowner that actually has the copy about that pain point? And then even in the product itself, tailor the onboarding experience to that homeowner's needs. So instead of showing the same generic ad and funneling this all the users to the same onboarding flow, what if we kind of segmented our approach and had a more personalized experience? So we ran an experiment where we really had a few different pain points that we saw a lot of search and frequency for, such as getting a quote for a home product issue, such as getting a quote for movers, such as different home services needs, and really applied the onboarding flow to mirror that pain point. So you see an ad for leaky roof, right? And then you click on that ad, you go to Yelp, and you actually see an onboarding flow that gets you directly to a home services look and feel, not a generic one size fits all approach. And that was kind of eye opening. The results were really eye opening. When we ran this experiment, we saw significant lift both in the right usage for homeowners versus restaurant goers, and also to some degree, like the LTV and revenue that Yelp was seeing went up as a result of personalizing that experience. So that was, a revelation. And we took that and then used that to segment and personalize our marketing based on like the different use cases that people would use Yelp for. And that insight really of the personalization works. And if you have a full funnel approach to personalization, actually has material impact on your numbers. That insight actually stuck with me throughout, my career and moving forward. For and Meta, right? Like we talked to hundreds of millions of businesses and 10 million plus like paying advertisers. All these advertisers have sort of like different needs, right? E-commerce, professional services, different big brands, and so forth. Uh, we actually took that approach to like personalization one level deeper at Meta as well. Really like guiding my team into like vertical specific personalization, deep personalization. So I really learned a lot about kind of the value of personalization as a key lever.
Mm, mm. Well, I think that I am sort of curious. I know that so personalization is like one of these from my experience in marketing. It's like one of these facets of marketing that if you can do it and you can do it well and you can do it at scale, it absolutely will help KPIs all throughout the funnel. And we're talking like D2C, B2B, mobile, web, you name it. Search ads. I mean, it's very well known. The challenge always is how do you go about doing it at scale? Like realistically, if you don't have like deep resources, be it people or dollars to invest in it, like to what extent does that really become a showstopper for really, really like integrating personalization, personalized flows into your marketing?
Yeah, that's a good question, Dennis. So, when you think of personalization, there's various dimensions to it. There's like hyper personalization at the account level, at the user level. Those historically have been tricky to implement due to costs of creative, cost of serving, right? But if you think of personalization as a form of sub-segmentation, really you're looking at one core segment, but then you're slicing that segment up to different pain points, different use cases, then it actually becomes manageable and the prioritization exercise. For example, you could have high potential customers as one segment, and within that segment, go deeper on high potential customers within one vertical and within another vertical. And then you're really identifying, on a revenue potential basis, kind of what segments to go after and how deep to slice. I think a follow-up to your point is, in the age of AI, that's what I'm personally excited about. personalization just becomes that much more manageable to implement. Cost of creative development goes down as AI accelerates. Uh, Signals and inferences from data, first-party data, becomes easier to analyze and ingest. And the AI effectively becomes an accelerator to your personalization strategy. So I think historically, while it's been challenging, I think we'll see more and more personalized content and more personalization levers as AI matures and becomes table stakes.
Yeah, no doubt. I was actually gonna bring that up. I mean, of course, because AI really does, we are, I mean, it's the promise of leveraging AI to be able to grab data and signals, and then from there to be able to like personalize communications, personalize ads, and so on. I mean, like the promises there. I think that it's like, for example, and listen, I'm on the B2B side of things. I spent about an hour yesterday. I've I'm investing time into really learning how to use and leverage Clay, right? Which has become like a very, very popular, sort of this, it's like a go-to-market platform that you use to, build lists of companies and contacts and and you could pull in all sorts of data and what they offer, is very much like gets you to the point of now we can provide you with like very hyper personalized copy and content and communications that you can then export and then import into your whatever your email marketing tool or platform is, right? And they just actually yesterday announced they're rolling out. They had their user conference yesterday. I don't know if you know. They've now rolled out their own email. Basically, it's like their outbound email marketing platform, so it's like they have the promise of like being able to like build those hyper personalized lists, hyper personalized messaging, and then use their platform to send out those hyper personalized communications. I haven't played with it yet. I'm very, very curious to kind of assess like how well that works. But this has been, from what I have seen, like a big part of the challenge is even if you have like personalized content and messaging and so on, there's still this aspect of how do you operationalize it. And so, I think about all the friends that I have like within like the growth industry, the mobile growth industry, and you start to run into like resource constraints and technological constraints. And, so I think like maybe maybe as a follow-up question is it's more a matter from like from your experience, if you were to sit down with a growth marketer, let's say a team of 5, a couple apps, let's say, and they said, listen, we really want to start experimenting with a deeper level, like really personalizing ads, personalizing flows, and so on. What kind of advice would you suggest to them, like for how to start or how to pilot or how to test, knowing that they don't have all the resources, they're unsure of like what they're going to get from this, what benefit they may see in terms of like their various KPIs. What kind of advice would you offer them?
Yes, I would think of first like what are the dimensions of personalization that the team kind of wants to focus on. What comes to mind is creative, right, as a core lever. Another would be segmentation and figuring out the right segments, and then ideally tying that back to the conversion events or overall the outcome that one is trying to get. So if we take kind of the gaming example, if you have like 5 different gaming apps in a gaming company, one could be casual, a lot of users, high frequency, lower ARPU, but overall like drives a lot of the usage. Another could be hyper targeted, like social casino or male RPG style games. The strategy is different, right? But if you're trying to have, for example, like a cross promotion strategy where you're capturing users in one app and then trying to funnel them to different apps, you really want to figure out number one, what signals do you already have in place in terms of like data inference and in terms of figuring out who these segments are and their intent. Number two, what are the creative dimensions that you can use on personalization based on those signals, plus based on industry benchmarks and figuring out what converts for the different audiences. And number three, I would say like what tools do you have in your disposal to really accelerate that personalization strategy? Uh, to me, the creative one seems to be the more obvious choice because they're A lot of creative tools out there. Cost is relatively low. Cost of experimentation is low. But then the second would be like the right workflows and the right tooling. Yeah, you mentioned Clay, which yeah, I've heard a lot about. If you think if you abstract that, like how do you have a workflow within your various like AI LLMs that plug into the various agents that can actually like accelerate your personalization and get you data without having to kind of mine for that, so you can make it as automated as possible. So to me, that would be how I would push the teams, and then I would try to really have them focus on one or two high potential use cases to kind of prove out the model, and then go deeper on personalization as they get more signals of what's working, what data actually can be inferred, and how they can best automate their work.
Okay. Let me ask you another question or two. Let's just see what you got. You talk about tooling. What tools have you used, or are there any tools that you have a strong affinity for, or possibly would even recommend?
Yeah, the evolution of tools is moving really quickly. Meta uses Salesforce and also the in-house tools. Uh, for me, what I'm excited about is actually the real power of like MCPs and so forth, like plugging into the clouds of the world, right? And actually having agents that really move quickly. I think what I'm personally excited about in kind of the tool front is actually this whole concept of like AI for SEO, and call it AEO, GEO, etc. Profound is a well-known product out there that helps companies track their brand share of voice, right? But there's others, and they're all coming. I think that strategy hasn't been really explored, or it hasn't been really figured out as well yet, and that's like a huge arbitrage opportunity for growth marketers at all points of the spectrum to go deep. So, if I had to think of like tools I would add to a stack, it would be, the marketing automation tools, but also the AEO and GEO tracking tools, and ideally like optimization tools that can get you discovered in LLMs for organic discovery.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I will tell you it's like a funny question to throw out because I'm like, I've talked to a lot of people and I've been like, I think we talked about this. Like I've gotten like, I'm getting very, very deep into AI these days. I it started in June when I kind of made the switch from like being a heavy ChatGPT user using using for all sorts of things and helping me with my work. But then I flipped over by getting deep into using building websites and platforms and so on off of Lovable. And now I'm just like, now that I'm on that side, I'm very much, I like to talk to people in my world around like, hey, what kind of AI tools are you using in your work? What do you find is working well? What do like how far along are you in integrating AI for in any aspect of marketing? Segmenting, targeting, creative, optimizing, using agents, using some of the a lot of the different tools that are out there. And I do find that it's in the world of like growth marketing, it's really still in the becoming. It really, really is.
Yes, I think to some degree you have to be tool agnostic and like tactic focused right now, right? Because these tools they change monthly, right? Your creative accelerating product could actually like a new one could come out next month and so forth. So you really have to think of like what tactics do I want to explore, and which tools can I use right now, but not tie yourself down to a particular tool for the longer term, because things are like changing on a rapid basis.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, well, cool. Listen, hey, y'all, thank you for joining me. So, personalization. Yes, I would love to go, find ways of going deeper. Maybe even we'll kind of like consider putting to do some research and sharing some recommendations on tools and services that are out there that can really help growth marketers pilot programs or tests by by leveraging personalization abilities in the communications. I think something like that would definitely be in order. But yeah, again, thank you for joining and have a good afternoon.
Thanks, Dennis. Great to be here.